Welcome to Great Mechanical Pencils. Today is something a little different. The ultimate vintage double knock showdown. The Pentel PSD5 versus the Pilot H-3005. These two vintage Japanese drafting legends went head to head in the mechanical pencil world, both boasting innovative, retractable tips and double knock mechanisms. And today, we're pitting them against each other in physical specs, history, and collectability. Stick around to see what collectors rave about and which one has some serious concerns. But before we get started, you'll notice this video is different from our typical format. There's no historical deep dives or product lineage breakdowns today. Instead, I'm just pitting two highly collectible pencils in a straight-up comparison to their build quality, design details, and collector appeal. And prices can fluctuate, so I'll skip that for the most part and let you decide on whether one or both of these belong in your collection. So let's get to it. Let's start with the grips. The Pentel PSD5 features a knurled pattern for a textured, secure hold. The Pilot H-3005 counters this with an etched stripe design, sleek and geometric, giving it a premium look and feel. At its widest, the Pilot measures 9.3 mm, edging out Pentel's 9 mm for a slightly chunkier grasp. But which feels better? From a functional standpoint, the choice between the two often depends on the user's hand size and weight preference. The PSD5 is noted for its girth and hefty metallic build, which some users find more comfortable for larger hands. The H-3005 is often described as being very well balanced, but some users find the etched grip to be slicker and less grippy than the traditional knurling of the Pentel. Let's take a look at the key physical characteristics of these classic drafting pencils. Although they are both premium double knock pencils, they differ in ways that might matter to collectors depending on your priorities. Starting with the weight, the Pentel PSD5 comes in at 21.1 grams, giving it a more substantial feel in your hand, compared to the lighter Pilot H-3005, which weighs 15.9 grams. Lengthwise, they're close. The Pentel measures 136.6 mm, while the Pilot is slightly longer at 138.6 mm. And as I just mentioned, the grip diameters are similar too, with the Pentel at 9 mm with its knurled texture for secured handling, and the Pilot at 9.3 mm with an etched metal look that adds a touch of elegance. In this segment, we're diving into the balance points for these two drafting legends. Balance is key for control and comfort during long sketching sessions, and a tip-heavy design can give you that precise, grounded feel without fatigue. First up, the Pilot. Although it's a touch longer at 138.6 mm, after balancing, the measurement to the balance point came to 6.5 centimeters from the tip. That's still quite tip-heavy, pulling the weight forward for solid control, but with a slightly more centered vibe thanks to its extra length. The PSD5 is 2 mm shorter at 136.6 mm, but balancing it reveals the balance point is just 6 mm from the tip. This makes it even more front-loaded, potentially offering superior stability for ultra-precise work like technical drawing or fine detailing. In the end, deciding which is best for you is about preference. The Pentel setup favors precision, while the Pilot leans more neutral. Here I'm measuring the knock force, and that's how much you need to push to extend or retract the tip. On these durability tests, I used a force meter to measure the force required to knock the pencil. The Pilot averaged about 1.23 kilograms, while the Pentel needed slightly more at 1.29 kilograms, and this could translate to a firmer click action. PSD5, requiring more force, could be argued makes it slightly sturdier and more resistant to accidental clicks. However, the H-3005, being a bit easier to knock, could feel smoother when knocking when compared to the PSD5. Again, it's a trade-off built on personal preference. And here we're measuring how much force it takes to advance the lid. The H-3005 clocks in at 0.775 kilograms. This lighter knock force makes it easier and quicker to use, ideal for fast note-taking or sketching when you don't want to fatigue your fingers. The PSD5 required a knock force of 0.99 kilograms. That's a bit on the higher side, meaning it takes a bit more effort to click and advance the lid, which might suit users who prefer a firmer feel to avoid accidental extensions. Here I am measuring the noise they make when you knock to advance the lid. I am measuring the sound levels using a decibel meter to see how loud each click is. This can matter in quiet settings, like taking an exam, libraries, or offices, where even small sounds might distract. First up, the Pentel PSD5. When I press the knock button just enough to extend the lid, it registers at 57.8 decibels. That's relatively quiet, similar to a soft conversation or light background noise. Knocking the H-3005 measured 59.9 decibels. It's only 2 decibels louder, but in sound terms, this can feel slightly more noticeable. It's not a huge jump, but people might say, yeah, this one's a bit louder when comparing side by side, especially if you're listening carefully in a quiet room. To put it in perspective, an increase of 10 decibels roughly doubles the perceived loudness, so this 2 decibel difference is subtle, but detectable in a silent room. If noise bothers you, the Pentel might be a quieter choice. I'm going to wrap up the video with a breakdown of these two pencils. But before I do, I'd like to thank you for tuning in and share your thoughts on this format. Would you prefer more or less of content like this? And if you enjoy these videos, along with my others, please hit the like and subscribe button. It really helps the channel. A standout structural difference is the internal threading. The PSD5 uses metal threads for added robustness, while the H-3005 relies on plastic threads. It's hard to see, but here's a look at the metallic chuck assembly. The pilot is easily unscrewed at the center joint, but this ease of access is precisely what leads to the cracked barrel issue. Users are advised to avoid over-tightening the grip. User feedback from collectors and enthusiasts on forums like Knocology and Reddit often highlights this, noting that the pilot's plastic components can be prone to wear, cracking, and loosening over time. Issues that have led some to report breakage after extended use or improper handling. Pentel's metal construction tends to hold up better in these accounts, making it feel more reliable for long-term collecting. Some pilot owners suggest storing the pencil with the barrel unscrewed to reduce tension on the plastic threads and extend its life, though this is more of a precautionary tip than a necessity. The PSD5 is also known as the PWP-15 in Japan and certain Asian markets. This pencil is branded differently and is a lot rarer and can fetch between 50 to 100% more than the globally available PSD5. The PSD5 utilizes a metal thread sleeve inside the plastic barrel, ensuring a metal-on-metal connection that effectively eliminates the point of failure that has been reported with the H-3005. Many praise the PSD5 for its sturdy build and its value as a grail item that's less likely to degrade, while pilot enthusiasts appreciate the H-3005 professional-grade feel and smooth operation, despite occasional gripes about longevity. Ultimately, whether you lean towards the heavier metal-threaded Pentel or the lighter etched grip Pilot depends on what you value in a drafting pencil: weight and durability, or a refined design and quiet performance. And both have their devoted followings in the mechanical pencil community, so consider how those specs align with your collection or daily use needs before deciding. Wrapping up the video, the Pentel PSD5 remains the recommendation for the user who values mechanical integrity and longevity. Its design ensured that it would outlast the era of drafting tables and survive into the era of the modern collector. Its metal-on-metal thread connection is a masterclass in durable design that remains superior to many modern alternatives. On the other hand, the H-3005 High Mecha is the go-to choice for the connoisseur of classic design, despite its structural vulnerability. Its aesthetic refinement and intricate etching represent a peak in Pilot's creative output that is yet to be matched. And its high price on the secondary market is just a reflection of its status as a piece of history, a vanishing point that still captures the imagination of those who appreciate the intersection of mechanics and art. Thanks for watching, everybody. Thank you again for watching, and I also wanted to thank the members of the Knockology Mechanical Pencil Forum and the Mechanical Pencil subreddit and Facebook groups. And until the next video, good luck with your collection.